Hi, I'm Eric Dewey from the Socially Awkward Studios, Science and Beer, and Her Majesty's Secret Podcast, and you're listening to another proud presentation of the Four-Eyed Radio Network. Check out more shows at foureyedradio.com.
It's your good pal, Steve-O, from the Four-Eyed Radio Network. I'm here to talk to you about a wonderful designer we all know, Revenge Lover. Illustrates and designs that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, please visit revengelover.com. And just do yourself a favor and tell them Steve-O sent you. I know it really doesn't count for anything, but, I mean, come on. Who are you gonna trust? You gonna trust somebody else? No, you're gonna trust me, Steve-O. Because, face it, I'm awesome.
Whatever, we'll talk about that some other time. And then
Hello, America.
I'm Zach Nanamus.
I'm Jonnydem.
And I am Altair Ibn La'ahad from Assassin's Creed Revelation, Cass Anvar.
Tim Russ. I'm Ethan Phillips.
And I'm Garrett Wong.
And I am Miltos Gerolamo, also known as Serial Forel.
And this is Jeremy Shader, or the voice of Finn on Adventure Time.
This is Robert Picardo from Star Trek Voyager and Stargate Atlantis, and you are listening to the Warpod.
That's a fancy new dress, Warlocks. You've just stumbled into another Warpod! Brought to you in part by Musings of a Geek, the Four-Eyed Radio Network, and the Houston Nerdcasting Collective, where we, the Warlocks, manufacture, triple joint, explanate, expletive, and karate chop our way through the greatest news and reviews of the internet and other internet-based outlets such as the internet and or the internet. I'm Zach Nanamus.
I'm Jonnydem.
Let's jump in. Tonight, we're going to talk about the games that we played at the Extra Life event that we just got done doing. Jonny gives his 2 cents about 007 Spectre. That's a Jonny-specific thing, because I didn't see it, probably not going to. We talk about the Fallout 4 hype, and because of the Fallout 4 hype, we're going to give our top 3/bottom 3 most anticipated games of all time, which I think we've done before. Either way, let's get started. Hey, Jonny, you wanted to talk to the folks at home about the new games that you were exposed to in the process of Extra Life.
First off, about Extra Life, just real quick, we did raise over the weekend $1,723 for, all of us were going towards the Texas Children's Hospital, which is awesome. Congratulations to all of us, and thank you to everybody who contributed. You can still donate, by the way, I think through the end of December, so you can check that out.
Really?
Yeah, you can check that out. If you want to donate to one of us, you can see the roster, and you can click one of us, and then donate. Whichever one looks the best.
And, of course, you'll find links below.
Right, extra-life.org/team/warlocks. Okay, so we played actually quite a few games. First, I want to talk about Halo 5 briefly, because this is the first time I got my hands on it. We played it with Kerry from Metal Geeks and MSR Cast. It was really fun to do that with him. It was me and Edge of Blade. We played it. I was very impressed. I was playing a little bit before we started recording this episode, because I was going to go back and through and actually listen to everything, because the audio, when you're dealing with that much stuff, it's really hard to pay attention to what's going on as far as the story and stuff. But I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to playing more of that. I don't know when I'm going to have time, because I do have Fallout 4 coming as well, but we'll get to that later. We played a bunch of... Huh?
I actually wasn't in the room for that. What made Halo 5 anything more than just a graphical update?
Well, I'll be honest, a lot of it was the graphics that were updated, because that's one of the things that stands out immediately when you start playing it. But also not only that, but the controls seem a little more streamlined. I actually changed my... Because we've been playing so much Master Chief Collection. What they did with Master Chief Collection is they kind of made the default controls for all of them are the same. And I got so used to that, I actually just switched mine back to that. It's called Recon is the setup. Because they name the different configurations.
The default, is it closer to something like, once again, going back to Destiny, where You have your bumpers are your alternate weapons such as melee and grenade, and then your other trigger is a aim function.
Yeah, and that got started in Call of Duty as far as the left trigger being your aim.
Yes.
And that's been standardized, it seems like, through all the different FPSs.
It makes a lot of sense. I really enjoy it.
It does make sense, but it's so different from what I'm usually doing that it feels really awkward for me. So, because standard Halo before that, zooming in was pressing in one of the joysticks. And so that's what I switched back to. So now one of my joysticks, when you press it in, is crouch, and the other one is the aiming function. But no, other than that, everything seems really smooth. I like the it's not just the graphics, but the way everything moves around on the screen, just the way the mechanics are. I really like it. They've added some features where you can more like run and jump, climb on things. There's actually you can't just normally Halo. If you didn't land your feet on top of what you're trying to jump on, you're not getting on it.
Yeah.
In this one, you can jump up if basically I guess what would be about waist high. If the what you're jumping up to, like that ledge, is about waist high, you can hit jump again, and your character grabs on and climbs the rest of the way.
Yeah, and that makes so much more sense because I was thinking about this the other day. I think it may have been something that you and I were doing in the Master Chief Collection, but when you jump in one of those games, you basically have to look straight down in order to figure out where you're going to land. And that's just so counterintuitive to the way that we do things as humans, because we have this spatial awareness and we use our limbs to figure out where we are. And also we have the ability to glance instead of committing an entire tilt of the character's head down, and it's basically going to stay there. So either you look at your feet or you look at something that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
And then get shot as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of that you get used to. If you spend enough time in the Halo games, you get pretty good at what you're trying to jump on without having to look down. But it's something that's learned. It takes a lot of practice. But yes. But you're right. It's not natural to do it that way. So yeah, definitely feel good about Halo 5. I'm going to play a lot more of it, and we're definitely going to do another video on it. And we will be uploading. There's a few games, I'll mention it as we go through them, that we'll be actually be taking the Extra Life video feed or the whatever, the stream. We're taking that video footage and we will be making a separate Let's Play or War game so that you can see us playing it for the first time in that environment. And we got some good ones. We definitely got some good games on there. So we also played Destiny. You had mentioned Destiny. You specifically played a lot of Destiny.
Yes, I did. Yeah, because I wasn't there for most of the multiplayer stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, I'll have to talk about my experience with those because there were some interesting ones in there. Did you progress your existing character in Destiny?
My main is already 40, but yes, I went back to my Titan, and I think I jumped 2 levels in that time. But I was going back and forth between things because honestly, around the time that I was playing a lot of Destiny, towards the end of the night, I was trying desperately not to fall asleep. So I went to Broken Age,
right?
Which is a point-and-click adventure, and I learned that wasn't helping.
Yeah,
and then,
I was going to say that sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah, then I went to New Game Plus on Shovel Knight, which was frustrating at my level of tiredness. So I settled on some Destiny, which actually I didn't fall asleep, but I was just kind of I would be thinking about something, and then I'd look back up at the screen and realize that I wasn't moving in the middle of multiplayer.
Yeah, when you're that level of delusional as far from sleepiness, it can be scary. I think I did a great job of never slowing down. Whatever I was doing, I was in it. Constantly thinking about what the next move was, whether it's in the game or whether it's setting up another game. So I never got to that point where I was dangerous, because once I hit that point that you were at, it's game over. I'm definitely nodding off.
Oh, really? You can't do anything about it?
It's very hard for me to recover from that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I was like that. What they say about sharks. You got to keep swimming. Got to keep swimming.
What they say about sharks, when they start playing those video games, they got a belly full of Fritos.
It's exactly what they say.
That old maritime adage.
It's
Never put a shark in a 24-hour game-a-thon.
Don't do it.
Especially for charity. They love to eat children.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose, really.
That's an incredibly long saying.
It is.
But they get it all out every time.
Absolutely. We also played a chunk of Fallout 3, which was a good refresher before playing some Fallout 4, which I will be doing.
I really hope not.
Why?
Wasn't satisfied with my Fallout 3 experience.
Well, you were playing like a crazy person.
What do you mean? Using melee when my best attribute is strength?
No, you can still use melee, but it's definitely a good idea to keep some guns on you.
Yeah, but there's no bullets in that world.
There's very few bullets in that world.
Right, so it's kind of like Resident Evil.
Well, in a way, it's not as extreme as Resident Evil, but you were playing it really like a crazy person.
Okay, so America.
But also, when your strength is that high, keep in mind you actually carry more weight as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have had an arsenal of varied weapons. That's usually how I play.
If any existed in the game.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
No, okay, and that's one thing that I'm excited about is that in Fallout 4, apparently there's over 400 weapons. I wonder if that's over 400 weapons after customization, so I'm wondering how much of a time sink that's going to be.
Well, those type of I don't know, I almost said mini games. It's not really what it is, though. But there's a lot of that aspect that they've been highlighting in Fallout 4 is like you can customize your weapons a great deal, so there will be some time spent on that. There's also going to be stuff like when people get a house in a town, they're basically building their own establishment. So,
yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's not traditional Fallout gameplay that is going to be a part of this game, which I think is really interesting.
Although, okay, the thing about the building your own base and stuff like that, I'm very disappointed with it already, and I haven't even played it. Yes,
how's that?
Because if you're going to build in Fallout, you should get the chance to rebuild society. But all of the textures and different wallpapers and stuff that you use for these items, which are essentially walls, they could have made them look any way they wanted to. It's like chain link and rusted sheet metal and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's a fine place to start, but you should eventually, be able to build like the 1950s again. That's what I'd want.
Yeah, I think that a balance between what you're thinking and what they did would be the most ideal in my view, because you're not going to have all the same resources and manufacturing that you would to build, to have like brick and mortar and stuff like that. But you could eventually build like you could actually make concrete and stuff like that eventually.
Yeah, and things are obviously painted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know what the damn deal is. I just want to make the 50s. Okay, I want to be able to make a jukebox where every time I do a melee attack against it, it plays my favorite song.
I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's...
And have Mr. Miyagi behind the bar. Yeah, do this up right.
Yeah, absolutely. Do all that crazy nonsense.
Did I lose you at Mr. Miyagi behind the bar?
You kind of did.
That's Happy Days. Pat Morita was on Happy Days.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Now, the game that I heard most often, I kind of wanted to get out of the room that I dubbed the ballroom. You can interpret that any way you like. Was Gang Beasts.
Yeah.
You guys were losing your minds playing Gang Beasts.
Gang Beasts is the fucking shit. That's why I didn't have it at the top of the list. I wanted to build up to it.
Yeah.
But that game was absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. And it always, like, I've seen videos and stuff of it, and I've looked at it on Steam before and just checked it out. And like, oh, that kind of looks cool. But until you play it, do you realize how just incredibly awesome that game is? You have to play it with at least 3 people, though. I can't imagine it being that much fun without. But we were playing it on PC. We had a bunch of USB controllers hooked up to my computer, and we were just going at it. In the game, we were playing Gang Beasts. Now, what's interesting about this game, I always thought was kind of interesting ever since I learned about this game, is that the word gang and the word beast, they conjure up certain images that you think of, but you put it together, you're thinking I
think of Street Sharks.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, what?
Be honest with yourself.
Uh-huh.
What were you thinking?
I was.
Were you thinking of droves of men abusing young ladies?
That's not at all what I was thinking. I was thinking something like you were thinking. So for some reason, when beast come to mind, it's always like werewolves. So I'm thinking like okay.
Hey, Johnny.
What?
Who are you trying to convince? Because we both know it's not me.
No, it's more like you know, what is it? The sharks and the what's the other in that musical? What is that?
I'm sorry, Sharknado.
Sharknado and
the musical.
The musical. Yeah, that sounds about right.
The shark is in the air, but I don't give a care because I love you. Coming this fall.
Yep. Anyway, so the game Gang Beasts. Enough of the name. We're past that.
Hey, Johnny, did you play a game called Gang Beasts?
I did.
Because I heard Gang Beast said several times during the year Gang Beast.
So the game is essentially, it's a different. We played, and the video that's going to go up of us playing this is actually, we actually went through every single stage, and there's actually a lot more stages than I thought. There's almost like 12 stages, I think. And essentially all you are is you look like claymation characters that have very little defined features.
I always thought safety men, the people who are on like crosswalk signs and caution signs and stuff like that.
Yeah, except you'd be like a mutated version of that because they have more stocky bodies, like sinners, like their midsection, and then they have wiry arms that kind of flop about, and then they have short legs, I believe.
It's like Octodad, the fighting game.
Yeah, and you actually have, there's no definition in your face or anything. You're just like you got just an oval head, and then your eyes are just white. There are no pupils. It's just two big white circles. And anyway, so what you go down and okay, so we actually took no attempt to like look up because the game itself did not have like a control scheme that we could understand, so that we could learn what the controls were. We actually just jumped in and learned them as we went, and you'll see that progression in the video as well. Because the controls don't make any goddamn sense. What we found out is like you press one button and it puts both of your arms straight up in the air. So it's always awesome if you win the game and you're the last person standing just to press Y, because then you do like a Rocky move. You're like, I'm the winner. And then
that was a beautiful Rocky impersonation.
Yeah, that's how I remember him sounding. And
Adrian, feast your eyes upon my visage. I am the winner.
Exactly. And you press the shoulder buttons. The shoulder buttons control one for each hand or arm. And what you do is if you just tap it, the fist of the beast, of said beast, just flies at whatever the nearest opponent is. Like if you're standing in between two guys, one might go one way, the other one might go the other. If you're just tapping, it's almost like a punch. Actually, it is a punch because you actually do have life bars. But if you hold them, it's almost like a magnet. Whatever the closest beast is that's close to you, or sometimes it's just like a railing or just an object. That hand will fly to that object and stick. And as long as you're holding that, it won't move and it will not let go. So one of the common, let me explain what the object of the game is. Usually to throw all of the other opponents, be the last man standing, throw everybody else out of the ring or out of the safe area or on top of, you can be on top of an elevator. Like these stages are all screwed up. So
achieve a ring out.
Yeah, exactly. Achieve a ring out. Yeah.
So what happens if your health is gone?
You temporarily will fall to the ground and pass out.
Can you still be manipulated? Like if you're passed out, can somebody pick you up and toss you off?
Yes, but the time limit is so small. The window is so small. You have to do that fucking fast. We only successfully did that a couple times, but it's the best way to do it. Marlon was doing these things. Well, essentially, okay. So I've told you what some of the controls are. So essentially, what you want to do a lot of times is I'll hit one of the other shoulder buttons or both, and then hit Y. So then what happens is you're basically grabbing one of your opponents, and all of a sudden they go right above your head. And then you just go and you just try to get momentum. And the thing is, it's hard to get momentum because these guys move real slow. It's just fucking hilarious. Like there was one I remember in the first match. You'll see things where like one guy will grab the other guy's nose, like in that area, and all of a sudden pick that person up with one hand. It's just absolutely insane fun. It doesn't make any sense at first, but it is hysterical.
Now, one of the things that I got to expose myself to for the first time was, wow, I'm not going to make the joke.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes you could have made there.
Yeah, this is not going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
It was actually Minecraft. I had never sat down and played Minecraft on purpose.
What did you think?
I it validated my every feeling about that game that I had before I played it.
Which was?
You need way too much time to do anything of merit or value or entertainment value in this game. You need too much time.
Because the building aspect, like you have to manufacture everything you use.
No, it's not only that. I mean, it's just the monotonous digging and things blow up your stuff, etc. And the challenge to survive isn't omnipresent. It's sort of staggered in a weird way to where it's kind of like an annoyance more than a challenge.
Now,
also, I was very specific. I didn't want any coaching during the Extra Life event.
Right.
So I didn't allow anyone to tell me any recipes for anything. And I think I spent at least an hour of the hour and a half that I played it just trying things that would never work.
Well, see, that's the thing about this game. It's like people's exposure to it is different. The people that only play on PC get a completely different experience than those that play on the console. Because I had no idea that you had to guess the recipes or look them up.
Yes.
I had no clue you had to do that because I had only played it on the 360 other than during Extra Life, which we played on PC. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you not just put those in the game?
I was very surprised to learn that there wasn't any way to at least go out and explore and learn recipes.
Right, which would be awesome.
That's odd.
Yeah, like find them. Yeah, like that'd be really cool.
I bet because this game, it developed so much in the internet culture, even before its paid launch, before it really became a money-making game.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like on the main Minecraft website. And, then everything turned into the Minecraft wiki, which is a great resource for it, but it's a weird way to learn to play a game. The game should have some way to teach you to play it inside it.
Right. The other thing I was going to ask you about that is, do you think your experience would be different if you were playing in that free build mode and there was no way there were no enemies to attack you? You could just have unlimited resources and build whatever you wanted.
No, because I still wouldn't have the recipes.
You wouldn't need any.
So in creative mode, you just have items and you just drop them.
You have an infinite library of everything you can build.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it would have been incredibly different. I definitely would have been using circuitry pretty much right off the bat, trapdoors, etc. Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't know if you witnessed, but I built that rail track, whatever, the Minecraft, the Mine Track roller coaster thing.
No, I was playing Destiny.
Okay, well, at that point, I had done that, and we did a little video of that. And that's how I built that. It was incredibly long. There's no way I would have been able to build it if I had to actually craft everything. Mm-hmm. It would have taken way too much time. And that's usually how I've enjoyed playing Minecraft. When I even was very first exposed to the game, we played in survival mode for like an hour, and then we were done with that. We were like, fuck that. Let's just go to free build mode and actually have some fun with this.
Yes.
So anyway, that's Minecraft.
That's Minecraft.
That's Minecraft for you.
So what did you think of Destiny? Because you didn't really talk about what you thought about it, because you're a big Halo guy.
No, you're right. And unfortunately, I did not actually like Destiny.
Really?
I felt like I was being spoon-fed everything, and I didn't have to work for anything. And there wasn't really... I mean, yes, they have the multiplayer aspect where you can go to the Crucible and fight other people, which is fine. If I'm going to play online with people like that, I like there to be some competitive stuff built into the actual game like that. And that's what I was hoping. Because when Destiny was first talked about and we knew it was coming out, it sounded absolutely fantastic to me. It was like a lot of the things I like about gaming all wrapped up in one game. It was an MMO. It was a first-person shooter. And I don't know. It sounded great. And it sounded absolutely fantastic. But you were expecting
to be able to kill people while you were out in the open world doing missions.
I would have loved for that to happen, but right. the way that it's structured, I don't like. It feels way too linear. It feels like you're just playing a first person game, and sometimes you can play with people, and it's all co-op and stuff. But it's it just feels silly. Like, especially the levels I was playing, they seemed way too easy. And like what you said about Destiny, it's like it's very repetitious. It's always go in there, blow stuff up, shoot things, and mission's over.
Well, yes, but I would adequately describe any first-person shooter like that.
Yeah. But it seemed way. I don't know. I really felt like I was being spoon-fed the whole time. It really bothered me. I didn't like it.
Okay, then what do you say to 007 Spectre?
Well, hold on. I don't want to. Are you going to keep cutting me off with the music?
Yes, go on.
There's a couple other games I really would just real quick. Let me go over real quick.
Fine.
Speedrunners, another multiplayer game we played. A lot of fun. And it's essentially you got 4 little characters. Well, we were 4 players, so we have 4 players on the screen, and you're all on one screen, and you're going through this little. You're basically doing laps around this all these obstacles. It's a kind of a side-scrolling platformer type deal.
It's a side-scrolling racer, is what it is.
Yeah, and once somebody, basically you're all trying to keep up, try to go the fastest. Once someone gets knocked off, basically hit the edge of the screen. If they go off screen, they're gone. They explode, and as soon as the first person is gone, then the screen starts shrinking, and then it's basically last man standing there. A lot of fun. I definitely recommend that one. It's a lot of fun. We played Crawl as well, and this is an asymmetric type of game where it's always one adventurer versus 3 people basically representing the dungeon. This one I have mixed feelings on. Overall, fun experience, but I didn't like how random it felt that it rewarded people. Basically, one person plays the adventurer. As soon as that person dies, it's the person that killed that person. The one who got the final hit then becomes the adventurer. And I didn't like how random that felt. I felt like I was cheated because I was doing a lot of damage to the adventurer.
That seems kind of like a balancing issue, or not a balancing issue, but it actually seems like a good balancing strategy. That, they could either track variables to see who's dealing the most damage, and then comparatively dynamically figure out who did what, and then the best players automatically are going to become the hero every single time. Or they could just say whoever strategized, parsed it out, and managed to get the last hit got it. And yes, sometimes it is going to be random, but that means everybody gets their fair shot.
Sure, no, and it's still an enjoyable game. I don't want to sound like I'm tearing it down too much. That was just what my biggest complaint is. That's me being so competitive. That's one of the things that bothered me. But it was definitely an enjoyable experience. The only other thing that got me is if you're susceptible to seizures, probably don't play this game. There's a lot going on the screen at once, and even just the main menu is like almost gave me a headache.
You have to decapitate start game, and I know it's not a humanoid, but they're very clear about it being an infant. It's just it's not tasteful.
Yeah, even the letter, the font just is constantly moving on the main menu, and I'm like, oh god, please just go into something so we can stop looking at this. But it's a very fast-paced game, a lot of going on, and it's definitely a shout out to, or a throwback to, old graphics. A lot of fun though. Mm-hmm. And then that's basically all. We did play Mass Effect 2, but whatever, we'll talk about that at some other time. And then I also wanted to remind everybody that these will be Let's Plays, and look for that on our YouTube channel.
Nobody cares.
They do care, all right? People care.
Fallacy.
People care. In fact...
Shoo-ba-doo, wanna now.
In fact, they can tell us what they feel about it, because we have now forums set up on our website at warlocksentertainment.com. So you can also ask us. There's actually, I set up an area where you can actually ask questions of Zach and I, and we will answer them on the podcast. But
yeah, I didn't know these existed, so I guess, has anybody asked me a question? I'll field it now.
No, I just set this up tonight.
Okay, will you ask me a question?
Zach.
Yo. Done.
Good job, everybody.
That was a real team effort.
It was. All right, so you keep this music you keep turning on.
Oh, do you want me to do it again?
I was trying to cue you up so we could actually go into the next segment. Yeah.
Gumby bears Ideas bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the Gumby Bears.
And with that, let's move into our next topic, which is Spectre, a James Bond film.
Magic and mystery is part of their history, including the magic of Gumby Berry Goo.
You done?
Desperately trying to think of the next stanza and I'm drawing a blank.
Thank God. Okay, Spectre. I ended up seeing this last night, which I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to stay awake. We had just finished the Extra Life 24-hour marathon, which we did, and I slept for 6 hours after everybody left, and I felt great. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I only need 6 hours," and then I started winding down after I finally got. I went out actually. I had Fuddruckers with Marlon, and there was a movie theater behind the restaurant. I was like, "Fuck! Oh man, I really want to see Spectre," and that's when I started crashing.
I love that. It's like, oh man, I only need 6 hours. Amazing.
Yeah.
And then like 4 hours later, I didn't take my Metamucil. Matlock isn't gonna watch itself. I'm sorry, that's dated even for old people. Jag's not gonna watch itself.
There you go. But anyway, so I ended up deciding to go watch the movie by myself, and I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. And you have not seen the movie.
The only Daniel Craig 007 that I have seen is Casino Royale.
Well, that's a good one. I think that's the best of the bunch.
That one got me excited about Daniel Craig because it seemed to have a real style. All the other ones seemed like spy adventure film.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just like when you think Bond, you think suave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you think the Bourne anything, you think gritty realism. Even though it's not, it's what you think. And then when you think Mission Impossible, you think
Tom Cruise is fucking dreamy and shit.
That's true, but you also think just outlandish spy fantasy.
Right.
And it feels once again, haven't seen these movies. It seems like past, what was the one after Casino Royale?
Quantum of Solace, I think.
Yeah, that one on, they're just trying to do it all.
Well, let me rephrase. I knew there was a better one than Casino Royale. Casino Royale is good, but I would say Skyfall is the best.
Okay, but does it feel like Bond? Like he's a gentleman spy with like he always knows the right thing to say and he's exotic getaways and just the danger, the suspense is and isn't there because of how much of a good time Bond is having.
Well, let me say this. I say yes, but it also feels like he just has a very difficult and rough past. So he's the damaged Bond. He is suave when he needs to be, and he has
Bond, punished Bond.
Yeah, so he's very. You took me off. You took me right out of it.
I'm sorry. I just named the next Bond film.
What'd you say? I couldn't even hear what you were saying.
I was saying punished Bond.
Oh yeah. There you go.
That's
yeah.
not
Maybe you can have a cameo in the next the Punisher stuff coming to Netflix.
No, that's a reference to Metal Gear Solid 5, and now I'm thinking the next 007 should be James Bond, The Phantom Stain. A reference to his love for beluga caviar. Get your mind out of the fisherman's head.
Exactly. So, my initial reaction when walking out of the theater on this one was, man, I'm a little disappointed.
Okay.
Now, I kind of weathered that, or not weathered that, but I kind of
shrugged that off a little bit.
I did. I kind of was like, let's think about what I just saw, and I try to analyze it, right? And I was like, it had every core element that a Bond film is supposed to have. It has the Bond girl, it has the song, and it has the main villain that he gets in fisticuffs fights with. They had very much. I felt like this one they had the guy the bruiser that he actually fights against is like this is very reminiscent of Jaws from the older films.
Sure.
And because they used Batista. What's his first name? I forget. That's his wrestling name. I can't remember his first name.
John Bautista.
Is that it?
No, I always get it wrong. Like, I say John Bautista every single time, but I don't think that's it.
It's not. But either way, he's the guy.
Ashley. It's got to be Ashley.
It's got to be Ashley Batista. You're right. Anyway, so he fights him, which was cool-ish. I kind of wish that they would have kept him around longer and actually let him say words. He seriously, like, I kept waiting for him to say something because he played Drax the Destroyer, and I liked his his acting in that. I actually really liked it, and he said 2 words, and it was the 2 words right before he gets killed off.
He's under contract by Disney to not act in any of the films.
Just conserve his voice.
Or as part of the WWE.
Right.
No, he can say stuff, he just can't act.
Right.
Topical? No, I loved him as Drax as well.
Yeah. Anyway, so that happened. So I'm going through the checklist here. What else do they have? So they had the exotic locations, of course. What are the other staples they have in a bunch? The cool car, the gadgets, everything. Check the list, and the cool masterminded villain. They had him.
He's got to kill somebody and then shrug off the mutilation he just caused in this mortal coil and make a pun.
I believe they had that too.
Okay.
But he did seem a little more serious than usual, like throughout most of the movie. It seems much more of a dramatic performance from Daniel Craig in this one.
I'm trying to think of the way that you make a pun about death more realistic and dramatic, and I'm gonna say that he killed somebody, and then he mailed his pun to the widow.
There you go. Nice. Okay, so here's the thing. I think what bothered me about this movie, and I after I was analyzing why I was dissatisfied, I think I narrowed it down. For one, I wanted there to be a bigger twist, and I didn't want it to be so obvious. Because that's kind of the reason I like Skyfall so much, because I felt like I was surprised by the ending a little bit.
Is that the one where his big answer to the mystery? Because I've seen tidbits, I think, of each film. Mm-hmm. And like the conflict resolution is he sends a bunch of emails at a soccer game.
That's not it, no.
That's one of them, isn't it?
I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah, it's like he's at some public event.
It's got to be Quantum of Solace, because Quantum of Solace was my least favorite. I haven't seen it very much.
Okay. Yeah, it's like some big event. He sends an email to M and like several ambassadors, and they're like, oh my word, international politics, and then everyone dies.
I think that was it, yeah. That was Quantum of Solace. No, Skyfall is one where he actually goes back to the orphanage he was raised at. And there's a big showdown there.
With the orphans?
No, it's been abandoned since then. There's like one guy living on the property.
Oh, I wanted a bunch of orphans like scrambling around, and then they pile on top of each other to make Mega Orphan.
Oh, I was thinking more like he trains them in a matter of hours to be mini James Bonds.
James Bond Juniors.
Yeah, there you go. That should be the next. That should be the next movie, actually.
Did you see that show?
There's an actual show called James Bond Juniors.
It was a Saturday morning cartoon in the 90s called James Bond Junior.
No,
and it wasn't even his kid, which I guess they didn't want to they didn't want to delve into the reality of the number of illegitimate children he must have, so they made it his nephew.
Nice, very nice. I'll just wrap this up. So essentially, I do feel like the movie could have been better. There's just certain things I wish there were more of. They had everything that a Bond film should have. I just felt like certain things there should have been more of. Like, I wanted more with Christoph Waltz. I wanted more of him, and I wanted him to be creepier. Because he just really wasn't. There was some real dramatic scenes with him. Visually, it gave you all you wanted. It was creepy and everything, but there wasn't like this. There wasn't the zinger. Like, there was no, like, I don't know. It didn't really work out for me as far as. But go ahead.
I think Christoph Waltz is one of those actors. Don't get me wrong; he seems like a fine actor, and I do not know what it's like behind the scenes with him. But he seems to me like the kind of actor that may need a good director, or at least he's an actor who takes direction well. So whatever the director wants, he gives to them. Because we really got exposed to him in *Inglourious Bastards*, and then not long after that, he was very forgettable in *The Green Hornet*.
He was in *The Green Hornet*?
Exactly. He's the main bad guy in *The Green Hornet*.
Well, he did he was also in *Django Unchained* and was fucking fantastic in that.
But that's another Tarantino film.
I know, because you're right. I think your theory might be right, because I think in this movie, I think he gave the directors exactly what they wanted, but it's not what I wanted. I thought he did a great performance, just wasn't the performance I wanted. I wanted him to just play a different character, essentially.
I just realized that we may or may not be crapping on a great director, depending on who directed *The Green Hornet*.
Oh.
Michael Gondry, French film director, screenwriter, writer, and producer. Watch him have directed the Super Mario Brothers movie. That was it was either French or British directors. Oh, he did Be Kind, Rewind, but that's also another very odd movie.
That is an odd movie. I did not like that movie in the least.
Mm-hmm. Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind.
Okay, so he does weird stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I liked Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind. So.
Oh, I liked that movie.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy one. It's very, very interesting and weird.
Mm-hmm. So we'll say that. So that still may be the case with Christoph Waltz, because with Michael Gondry, you're going to get something very different.
Right, and also Christoph is German and this guy's French, so
they don't get along.
Yeah, those French and German guys.
I woke up with Christoph occupying his trailer every morning.
So topical. So so Spectre. It seems like this is definitely, I think, the last one that Daniel Craig's going to do, and it wrapped up the 3 or 4 movies they did with him. It wrapped it up nicely. It ended with him looking like James Bond. This particular James Bond was going to be retiring.
So does it seem to you that they're embracing this 007 is a moniker idea?
No. And it pissed me off, because it was very clear that they didn't want to do that, because they actually show legal certificates that his actual parents were named Christopher Bond or something like that.
Okay, but that could be a write-up.
Yeah, it could.
That could easily be an identity cutout. Now, if they were showing pictures of Sean Connery,
right?
And they were like, "Oh, Bond, look how Scottish you used to be."
Yeah, I wish they would. I wish they would embrace it with the new one that's probably going to come out in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. That's my guess. That's my guess on the next one.
Bond feels like one of those things, the more context you give it, the more it diminishes the idea, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Now, when you create something that has all these rules and is very grounded in reality, then it takes away from the fantasy.
Yeah. Also, you might get a kick out of this. You watch the Sherlock, the British one, right?
Yes. I have.
The guy who plays Moriarty in that plays a bad guy in this one.
That's cool.
It was cool. He's great. I like him. But we also Fallout 4, the hype machine cometh.
Why not? I'm done with that.
Use that music for everything but Spectre. Okay. So here's the thing. Fallout 4 has, if you haven't noticed, is being one of the most hyped games of all time up to this point. Just a couple examples. Target is putting out, alongside Jones Soda, they are putting out a Nuka-Cola Quantum, which is a drink in the game. I've also seen pictures of buses, just public transportation vehicles, wrapped in Fallout 4 advertisements. I've seen the live action commercial, which obviously took a lot of money to do. I've seen a couple different trailers for it. Everybody seems excited for it. I can't go a day without seeing something Fallout 4 related online, on Reddit, on all these different things, on Facebook. In fact, Facebook changing its name for a day. Tonight it's going to change to Fall Book. That was a horrible joke. Don't. I'm glad I'm editing this.
I have a recording as well, and now I'm thinking that I'm going to start putting together Jonnydem, the lost levels. Like all the stuff you hate.
All the stupid things I say.
Yeah.
all the clumsy segues I put into the show. Okay. So, Zach, do you think this game is going to live up to the hype?
No. You know why?
Why is that?
Because I played Fallout 3 during Extra Life and I wasn't impressed.
Okay. Well, that's how you personally feel, but how do you think it's going to be received by the public at large?
Everybody's gonna lose their crap like they always do.
Yeah.
Because it's a Bethesda game. And, oh, look how freeform it is, and look at all the different things you can do. No, you can't.
Okay.
You can't. You can do everything, so you can do nothing. The character falls into this amorphous blob of it's like, look at those 30 levels when I was trying to do just energy rifles. I was so silly back then. Now I'm a completely different person. You don't play a role, you play a game mechanic harvester.
Let's be clear about something first. We are recording this episode on the eve of the release of this game.
Actually, it will be playable for me in about 15 minutes.
Me too.
Captain J is she's actually already finished the download, so if I wanted to, I could play the game tonight.
Yeah.
In the first few minutes where it's actually available, and probably not
in about 45 minutes for us.
But I wasn't that excited about Fallout 4 to begin with.
Right, and I understand that. That's your personal feelings about it. I have been excited for it. And it's not until this last week that I've started to realize that, yes, I am excited about it, but I almost fell into the trap that I often fall into. I'm very susceptible to good advertising, and sometimes I get wrapped up in the hype. And I felt like I'd say about a good 25-35% of the hype I was feeling was only because it's been in my face for so long, and because everybody it's being way hyped. It's super hyped. And I'm going to play this game. I plan on enjoying it. But the reason I kind of asked about whether you think it's going to live up to the hype or not, what's interesting is now the first reports that are coming out from people who have been playing it already. Some people got it a little early. People in the media got it a little earlier. People in the media got it a little early as well. They're already reporting the game is actually fairly buggy. I saw one headline.
You think?
Huh?
You think? It's Bethesda. How did everybody forget this?
You remind me of that when we talk about this kind of stuff. I didn't find Fallout 3 to be that buggy. It was buggy, don't get me wrong. But because New Vegas was twice as buggy, I often forget it. Mm-hmm. In fact, I saw a headline that said from one guy he'd been playing for 9 hours straight, and now his character is completely locked in an elevator and he can't get him out. Like this stuff is gonna stain some people's feelings towards Bethesda, and it's
hashtag Phantom Stain. We're making that a thing.
Phantom Stain. Yeah. All right. Hashtag Phantom Stain.
You think it's gonna stain their reputation?
I think it will. And I think I really hope it's not as bad as it could be, or as bad as it seems. It may just be overblown because it is the release evening of it, and people are trying to get those headlines, and these kind of things will get headlines.
Sure.
But if it's as bad as they're trying to make us feel, like as bad as they want. And that's true. I mean, they want us to be like, "Oh shit, no, not Fallout 4, not this game that we love so much and has been hyped so much." It sets a bad precedent, and it continues this trend that we have been talking about over the last year about these games coming out and they're unfinished. And it's if this happens to this game at this high level, I really hope that it wakes up some of these developers, because it's just really ridiculous.
Yeah, good luck with that too, considering the crazy amount of money it's already made.
Right.
We as the consumers are saying, hey, you don't have to finish your product for us to buy it. As a matter of fact, we're going... okay, look at what I just said. You said Fallout 4 is buggy. I said you think, because it's an expectation.
Right. Yeah, and what's nice about this, though, is actually it's the AAA titles that get this expectation. So someday... maybe we'll know to stay away from AAA titles, at least in the first week.
Okay, but let's be fair. AAA titles are difficult to make. I remember Jonesy's wife, Shauna, she was hanging out with us while he was playing a little bit of FTL, and she's not a big gamer.
Right.
And I'd never really had to say this to anybody before. And she was like, "Oh, this game looks really old." And I was like, "Oh, well, it's just an indie development. It has a much smaller team. So if they're going to get anything done, they need to scale back things like 3D and very detailed art assets and stuff like that." And do you know how many Okay, we stopped talking about polygons a long time ago because the numbers got crazy.
Right.
The number of teeny tiny little objects that have to be rendered at any given moment, or are put into a stack in order to be rendered, or put into another stack in case the player does something that the game wasn't expecting, is unreal.
Yeah. That was the topic back when we were making the transition from like PS1 to PS2 and Xbox generations.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the last time we talked about it that much.
That's because you could still see him.
Exactly.
Remember the fighting polygon team from Super Smash?
Yes, I do.
Every single fighter included at least 10 polygons.
And there's 5 of them on the screen.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of hype, you wanted to do something special for the top 3. We are going to do the top 3 most anticipated games of all time!
Bam.
Does that sound like electricity?
I thought I was going to say it was a shrink ray.
You're getting specific with the electromagnetic scale.
Yeah.
Or spectrum with me.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I thought you were Jonnydem, not Johnny Science, the science. Either way, so top 3 most anticipated games of all time. Now, the first thing that Johnny said to me when we were coming up with these lists is that a bottom list doesn't make any sense. And I said, no, it does. Because there are games that come out and you don't care about the marketing whatsoever.
Right.
So, Johnny, why don't you start us off? You always start. I'm going to start us off with my bottom. We're going to start with my bottom, Johnny.
Oh, my favorite.
Let me just pull up my list here. Okay.
Pull up your pants, you mean?
Bottom 3. Number 3, the most anticipated of my least anticipated of all time, which really I'm doing more modern, because we always go way into the Wayback Machine for this kind of stuff. I want to do something a little more topical. Number 3 on my list, Metal Gear Solid 5. And I'm going to start by saying, I know there was hype for this. I know there was lots. I know lots of people were waiting in line. I think...
Kojima's last game. It's a big deal.
It's not. He was on vacation.
You're right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And also, even if he left, it wouldn't be the last Metal Gear Solid-esque game. It's clearly what he and Team Kojima would do again.
You think that for Japanese businesses, on vacation means we put them out to pasture?
I think that I can't make a joke without being racist, so I'm going to pass.
Insert racist joke here. All right.
Yes. Metal Gear Solid 5 was one of those things where I didn't pay attention to the hype machine. I honestly can't tell you. It's kind of like Fallout 4 with me. You were describing all of this constant exposure to Fallout 4 you were getting. I got none of it. I knew that there was going to be Nuka-Cola, and that's about it. I picked up this game. I don't know. There was almost something fatalistic about it. That I was going to get this game no matter what. It may have been Ground Zeroes. It may have been, because I played it and I was pretty satisfied with it. And then, of course, I played Metal Gear Solid 5. And
So you're saying you were not exposed to much of the hype about Metal Gear Solid 5?
I knew it existed, but I didn't care enough to seek anything out about it.
Okay.
And then I played it, and it was amazing, and that's why I made this list. I wasn't highly anticipating this game.
It was a surprise good game.
It was a surprise blockbuster hit that people had been waiting years for. 2, Super Mario Maker.
Oh, yeah.
Super Mario Maker, the first time I saw Super Mario Maker, I thought that this kind of game has already been outmoded. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way you're going to convince me to make this game when I can make this game and any other game I want in stuff like Game Maker, which you can get for free, or even Project Spark through Xbox One, things like that, which is also free for PC. We picked it up because I picked it up because I thought we were going to do it at Extra Life. I decided not to. And then I started noodling around with it, and it's so fun and simple and accessible, you know, that everything that made me not want to play this game makes me play it pretty much on a daily basis.
Nice.
Yeah. And number 1, Fallout 4.
Okay.
I don't know, and I don't care. We've touched on this several times because it's no surprise to you that I don't like the Fallout series. I think it's okay. There's post-apocalyptic stuff that I absolutely love, like Judge Dredd, but I think that Fallout has always fit the bill of this sort of desperation. That we're just barely clinging on. We're not in a process of rebuilding. In fact, things might be worse than they ever have been. We're actually still in the process of decay. And I think that there's something that makes me feel helpless in those games. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to do anything to fix the situation. Sure. And obviously, I'm not going to be able to because there's going to be a sequel, and it's going to look the same way, you know?
Right.
So, Maybe I'll do a cold run. You know, that might be good. I'll do a cold. Yeah, you know what? As soon as we get off, I'm going to do a cold run. I'm going to give folks the first 30 minutes of the game.
You should
see if they smell what I'm stepping in.
That's a strange list. It's a good one though.
Jonnydem.
Yeah.
Bottom 3.
Okay, so I based my bottom list on basically games that were I didn't see any hype for, and then they may surprise me in how much I like them or how much other people like them around me. And my first on this list is actually any MUD text-based RPG that was ever made, because there are no advertisements for these games. They are all basically fan-made games, essentially. And they all spread by word of mouth. I mean, yes, some of that was on the internet, but it's early in the earlier days of gaming online and stuff like that. And these surprised me about how many people have actually played them and it's just I don't know. It's very cool how they spread in that way. And there was no official advertising for them. Number 2 is actually Gang Beasts. So this is very new for me, but it's a game I saw no advertising for. The only way I was exposed to this game, and I know that some of their bigger Let's Play outfits, I had heard after I played the game that like people like Rooster Teeth have played it and stuff like that and done Let's Plays, but I have seen none of those. I was exposed to none of them. The only way I found this game was actually just surfing Steam for 4-player multiplayer games to play during Extra Life. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way I found it. And this game, if you're talking about the ratio between how much I knew about it and how much advertising I saw versus how much I enjoyed it, this one's through the freaking roof. So that's number 2. Number 1 is actually DayZ. This game I did find because of Rooster Teeth, but they're the only place I found it before actually seeking it out. And it was not an easy game to install because it was basically a game that was that was running on top of another game.
So you need to run an instance of DOS in order to access your Zanga account.
Well, yeah, right. But it's actually Arma 2. Arma 2 is the game that it was basically running on top of. Uh-huh. And so it was not easy to install. It's funny how this game even got any popularity. Now, what was supposed to...
I still don't know what it is.
It's just basically a zombie apocalypse simulator. That's all it really is. And it runs on top of Arma 2 because Arma 2 is a military simulation type of game. And
it's a straight up military exercise. Like people in the military play it for training purposes. Corporal Punishment was telling me about it.
And it makes sense. After playing Arma that game. I can completely understand that. It was one of the harder zombie games I've ever played. It's very hard. And if you want to play co-op with anybody, if you're playing on somebody else's server and it's set up like most of the servers are, you'll spawn into a random place. Usually it's along the beach, but the beach in this game is huge. It's very long. If you're trying to play with somebody, you'll be randomly dropped somewhere in the game along the beach. You have to find somebody. You have to find the person you want to play with, and to do that, it's not easy because everything is in Russian, and you have an overlay of the map, but it's not easy to figure that shit out. Anyway, so that's that game. So Zach, what is your top three?
Top three.
Top three.
We hadn't done the song yet.
No, we hadn't.
Realized that.
Yeah, now it starts.
Top three, faux me, happens to be one click away because it's still on my phone and it locked. There you go. All right. Top three most anticipated games for me. 3, New Super Mario Brothers Wii. New Super Mario Brothers Wii was one of those games where we were coming off of the whole Super Mario Galaxy thing where, we hadn't quite gotten a traditional Mario game yet. Because Mario 64 was just an update to Mario. It was like, this is what Mario would be in 3D. And then Galaxy was very much a concept piece,
right.
It retconned a lot of stuff about, like, Mario and how space-themed everything is, which it's not. Either way, when New Super Mario Bros. Wii came out, it was finally a console version of an updated side-scrolling Mario platformer. It's technically a sequel to New Super Mario Bros., which came out on the DS, but nobody cared because it's the DS.
Right.
That was a game you bought for your kids. I had non-gamers telling me about this game and how excited they were. And then when we got a hold of the game, it really lived up. That's a fun game. Number 2, another Nintendo. Okay, people always talk crap about Nintendo marketing, but the most memorable stuff, the stuff you're waiting for, comes out from Nintendo. This isn't even on the list. Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime?
Yeah, I guess we could call it. We could call this an honorable mention. In high school, I knew a guy who bought the game before he bought the console. He was saving up for the console. He just wanted his copy.
Wow, I did not have the same experience. And now I do remember there being some hype for it. I do remember that, but it wasn't as much as I thought. I don't know.
But number 2 on my list, Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D.
This one came out for which system?
For 3DS.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's just a re-release of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And I think I know that I got really hyped for it. I know there were lots of Zelda fans that got really hyped for it, especially those who fall into the camp of modern Zelda games are too linear. And that's not to say that Zelda the Ocarina of Time isn't linear, but it was still the first 3D one, so we all look back on it fondly. And the idea that we were going to recapture something that we loved about Zelda after titles like Twilight Princess, and I can't remember if this came after Skyward Sword. I feel like it did, though. Since we were all kind of sort of reeling from those two titles, and not that they were bad games. I played them both and I enjoyed them, but they didn't feel the way Zelda used to. Mm-hmm. And getting one of our favorite Zelda games back with updated graphics was just a windfall. And number 1, this one's interesting because it's one that I haven't played.
Yeah.
This game was all hype. Sunset Overdrive. The Xbox One title. Like, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that game is going to sell Xboxes. It's like, that's the stylistic fun.
That's kind of how they pitched it.
Yeah, a free roaming sandbox thing. It's going to be not Prototype. What's not Prototype? Infamous. It's going to be Infamous, but fun. And Infamous is fun, but after a while it feels like a Christopher Nolan movie.
Do you feel like this game was not received well?
I don't know.
Because you haven't played it, so I was wondering if that was what you're basing it on.
I feel like the buzz was that Sunset Overdrive was a game. Like at the end of the day, it was a game.
I think what I had heard was that it was hyped a lot, which is why it made your list. But I think that people did enjoy it. But
I think that
I don't think a lot
for the people of America and good for the world as a whole.
Was I sounding like Obama?
You went straight into Obama.
Okay. There's a joke there too. We'll completely skip over that too. So yeah,
donuts and bacon.
Yep. So, like I was saying, I felt like a lot of people just didn't pick it up. I think that the hype just failed. I think it just hit and missed. Because from what I heard, I never heard that it was a bad game, but I just don't think a lot of people played it. I think it was just too much of a stylized game because that's the reason I stayed away from it. I didn't like all the bright colors. I like my video games to be dark and brooding. But
and you're what's wrong with video games? But no, come on, look at the games that made home gaming home gaming.
Yeah, they had like 6 colors in them.
Okay, but and Halo probably has like 100 shades of 2 different colors. Green and darker black green. So dark that the greens are black.
Is it weird that my favorite Mario levels are the ones where you're in the dungeons?
Underground, yes. Castles, no.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll give you the castles because there's some anticipations. There's some anticipation, and there's also lava. So
right.
That is interesting to look at.
Sure.
Underground is all blue and black.
Yep.
They even switched the enemy palettes, except for Koopa Troopas.
Would you like to know my top 3?
No, but I'll sit through it anyway.
Appreciate it. I got an honorable mention just because I know that they are super hype machines, and that's the Call of Duty games, and there are annual releases, which seems like it's dying off. Like
how is that still a selling point?
I don't know, but
when I heard that there's going to be annual releases for actually anything, every time I've heard that, I was like, oh, that's going to be bad.
Yeah. Now, see, I want to say this about my list though. My top 3 was just the games I could think of that in my memory, in my experience, from my gaming memory, my gaming history, that have just been super hyped. So just the most hyped, whether I enjoyed them or not.
Okay.
That's why I put the Call of Duty stuff on there, just because I know that there was for like 3 years in a row stupid, crazy stuff.
Oh, it's still going on.
I know. They're giving away mini fridges.
Dude, okay. The last time, and this, we covered it before that I don't really like hyper-realistic military games, or at least games that make the hero a military person, military personnel, because it doesn't really indulge a fantasy. What it indulges is a very personal reality,
right?
And because if you want to go play army, the army will take you, and you can go do that,
right?
And if you want to enjoy a war game every once in a while, that's fine. But I went up to a GameStop, and it was the night that a Call of Duty was being released. And this guy was in full tactical plastic. just straight up indulging this odd fantasy. It's like, yeah, if soldiers exist, I'd definitely be one.
Go be a goddamn soldier then.
It almost, I'm going to say almost, really just to cover my ass, it almost cheapens it. But
yeah,
if that's what makes you happy, I'm not gonna crap all over it. But it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. Now this one just because this particular company, Blizzard, takes forever to put out games. So when they do release one, people go fucking bonkers over it. Diablo 3. There was a lot of hype for that game, and for good reason.
Fair reason. I'd say.
I'm not saying because the game was good. It's because it's been so long since people had played Diablo 2. Because I don't know, it was like 10 years between the two titles.
At least.
Yeah. I didn't quite enjoy the game, but it's definitely up there as far as hype goes.
I enjoyed the game, but I hated the console port. I really disliked it.
I know. I actually played that during our first Extra Life 3 years ago, and I was bored out of my mind. I think because the setting was set on easy, then it just becomes like a really fucking boring version of Gauntlet.
It wouldn't matter if it were easy or not. Console version is easy by nature,
right?
Because they refuse to split screen the two of you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So if you die, you spawn back in the map.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Number 2. Halo 3. Halo 3 was...
That's my...
I think it was in Halo 2 or Halo 3 they added the rock guitar at the...
Oh.
Yeah, so there's the monks...
that was a screeching cat.
No, it was the monks... It was the monks chanting, and then it would break into that rock guitar.
Oh, Techno Monks.
Yeah, Techno Monks. Yeah, you got it. So Halo 3 was a big fucking deal for me. I think it was on Halo 3, because me and Marlon and my brother Jeff, we went to the Halo 2 release, like the midnight release, and that was a big deal. And it was such a big deal that Halo 3 was coming out, that even though Marlon was in Corpus Christi, we stayed on the phone with him while we were in line. Like, it was a huge deal for us to be there for the Halo 3 release. And the game was good. It was one of the better Halos, I think. But anyway, it's the hype. It's the hype that was a big deal. It was a huge deal for me.
Hold on, which one is Master Poncho? That's not 3,
5.
is it?
It's 5.
That's okay.
What?
Although I will say now that I do completely understand the Poncho. Gosh, I can't remember a single thing about the hype for 3, but that was back when I had a mindset that there was a clear division between myself and bro gamers.
Oh, sure.
And I thought of Halo as being a bro game. And now that I played Halo 4, I got to say it's an incredible game, and I'm really interested to see Halo 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked it. Number 1.
Jetpack Jones.
Skyrim. Why are you laughing at Skyrim?
It's the word rim. I'm just stupid. I'm just 12.
No, Skyrim, I remember they leaked, I think it was the previous year's E3. They, or it may have been 2 years. It was a long time between that they were working on this game, and they would do this little teaser trailer of a wall mural or something, or cave carving, and I remember when they released it, it was still like a year and a half out or something like that. But me and Marlon were like, "Oh my god, it's a Skyrim trailer!" Like, we were hyperventilating. It was really bad.
Oh my god, it's a wall!
And they showed absolutely no game footage. Fucking nothing. They showed nothing, essentially. And the acknowledgement that they were making Skyrim was like enough for us to get all hard and stuff over it.
Yeah, Skyrim had that effect on me basically because I was hoping for them to fix everything that was wrong with Oblivion. And they did, but
like
the
fat faces?
No, I rarely have problems with games
with fat faces,
with art. The problems with Oblivion is that it's
art.
It's is that it's way too frustrating at times, and the personality mini game doesn't make too much sense. Picking locks was also frustrating.
I hated the lock system in that.
Everything about the game was just a little too frustrating for me, and then we learned that they solved those problems by omission. They just kept taking stuff out of the game until it was fun again.
Yeah. I still have not beat Oblivion. I still haven't beaten Skyrim either.
I haven't beaten Skyrim, but I've gotten pretty far in that game.
I'm gonna play it. I think I'm gonna do like a streaming thing where I play it.
You're gonna do a Torpal?
Is that what they call that?
Torpal Kramsky.
That sounds right.
There we go. I'm just saying nonsense at this point. I think we may both have a sleep debt. Have you noticed how subdued this particular installation of the Warpod is?
Yes.
Yeah.
we're kind of drained. Even talking about video games is tiring.
Which is weird because, like, video games is all I've done. Video games and homework. I haven't bothered, like, watching, like, anything, even YouTube videos.
I slept most of the day.
Oh, no, I didn't.
And then I went to school, so there's that.
Once again, we just want to extend our thanks to everybody who donated or even just tuned in to the Extra Life event. We really do appreciate it. We are looking forward to seeing you guys next year. Thanks to all the developers who actually graciously provided games specifically for our event. The development teams for Crawl. What's the next one?
Speedrunners
and Gang Beasts actually all provided specifically for our event. That was very cool of them. We hope that we did some good. We want to give another shout out to Texas Children's Hospital. You do amazing work, and we will see you next year. And for everybody else, we'll see you next week. And I think it's time to say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
You and me are super 3D because we live in this particular reality.
This has been another great presentation of the Four-Eyed Radio Network. You can catch more shows at foureyedradio.com.